Welcome back to another episode. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Greatly appreciated, as always. Today's conversation will be around um, Michigan coaching search. Been a week since I think Ron Moore got fired a week ago today. So we're still just kind of figuring out, understanding, looking to see who we might have, lined up as far as potential candidates. We'll talk about that a little bit. We'll also jump into Um, recap of the Lions Rams game, shootout, fireworks, pretty much went as anticipated from that standpoint. But we'll just kind of dive into what went wrong in that third quarter, essentially, that decided the game. Um, and then talk about the big matchup with the Steelers this weekend back at Ford Field, last home game of the year. So yeah, I'll kick it over to you, E. Just want to see what your thoughts are just around the updates, coaching search and who's being considered, and yeah, what you think about it so far.
For sure. I would say we should name this the "Shit Was All Good Just a Week Ago" podcast. I'm not sure if you probably don't, or I'm not sure if you ever go back, but I wanted to see how we sounded and looked coming off that Sharon Moore, because that shit happened and released probably like an hour before we recorded, and so it was real fresh and we looked like we were in shock. I said that it was.
I gotta go look now.
You watched. I said that it was just crazy. No, I used the same word probably 10 times in a row. Just like it was, just crazy. It's just crazy or something. So I think coming off of that, just having a week to process and just the roller coaster of we're gonna get this coach and that coach and
Yeah,
that. And if you stay off Twitter, if you want any sanity as far as that goes, you'll see every press conference, every coach from here to Mississippi, as far as put a microphone in their face to see what they think about the Michigan job. So, it seems like it's kind of come down to like a trio of people. I would start out with top of the list for me, and I think a lot of Michigan fans would say as DeBoer from Alabama. Went currently at Alabama by way of Washington. We played them, beat them in a national championship. He's built teams up. Not that Washington's ever a super powerhouse. Got them there, ran into a buzzsaw. That was the 2023 Michigan team. That team probably would have beat a lot of other teams. So you consider that walking into Saban's shoes, just kind of that. That's kind of the top of the, as far as I'm concerned, top of the food chain as far as coaches. I forget his exact record. I wrote it down last week, but I think it's like 56-16, 6 years as a head coach. That's who I want. I'm just come on and say it. I think that'd be make the team happy, make the fan base happy. A guy that's proven and ready to rock and roll. Next, you have Jeb Fish. Well, I don't know. I guess let's kind of go back and forth. Kind of, what are your thoughts on DeBoer?
yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think I'm keep it 100. I'm wearing my Oklahoma Adrian Peterson jersey on Friday, as I kind of just cycle around town doing stuff. So yeah, I mean, that's probably answered that. That in itself right there, how I feel. I mean, I think see what he was able to do with Penix for a couple years. Seems like he's a pretty good recruiter. Was able to pretty much retain a lot of them guys who went to Bama after Saban of all people left. So I just feel like be a great fit. 'Cause I think the most important thing right now is marrying somebody that you can marry with Bryce Underwood, and ultimately get the most out of him that you can.
Sure. I think he would be, before we get into the next guy, I think he would be the best of the both worlds. It would be, he's young enough, he has enough like mojo about him. He's been on the stage before. He's took teams to the top. He's took over big programs. All that's there. A lot to be excited about. Then you kind of go to some of the other guys. Kind of looking at Jeb Fish, been on the Michigan coaching staff, been around the coaching ranks from top to bottom. Manned the head coaching job at a couple different stops along the way. Currently at Washington. I personally think that this might be the safest. I don't want to say safe. Probably the safest, most likely. If you offered him, you would get him. And in locked in as your next head coach. I just kind of think there's nothing sexy about it to me. I think it might just be kind of run of the mill. Might be a guy that we'd be looking kind of, maybe in a year or two we'd be sitting there hoping, damn, maybe we get hoping for a little more out of our coach. Sitting around looking at other coaches and what they might be doing and kind of looking over as grass is greener on the other side. Not that it might be bad, but I just don't feel like it's that. I feel wary about the guys that's just been always passed over and looked over as coaches. Very rarely do they catch their steam and go win championships back to back, things like that.
Yeah, for me, this has like two different feels to it. Like it has that like he has like that like it could be like a Brady Hoke type thing where he was on the staff a while back and just kind of found his way. I don't exactly remember the whole Brady Hoke coaching search and everything, but I don't think he was like top guy that they're going after. And then it also kind of has this like, you got a guy that's familiar with the program. It's sure they can do a lot with the little, you know. There's some continuity there to an extent to where it could probably go like I think he's a better coach than what Hoke is. It could probably could we win a couple championships, get into the playoff? Yeah, but it's like, can we do much more than that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if like Jedd Fisch could like win a national championship at Michigan. And I'm not trying to be that crazy over the top fan when it comes to that, but the ceiling doesn't seem very high. But like he also has like that Brady Hoke kind of vibe where he kind of step in here and just kind of
yes.
like, you know, it could just kind of be like very like 8-4, 9-3, and yeah, kind of be at square one in a couple years.
Right. I agree with that. I would say I think the board is hands down better pick than him. And now the next guy versus him, Kenny Dillingham. I think if you compare Kenny Dillingham and Fisch, I don't think the wheels could fall off the program on Fisch like they might on the Kenny Dillingham. But I also think the ceiling might not be nearly as high. I think, you get a Kenny Dillingham in here and the lights are too bright. He's never been to the Horseshoe. He's never been down to Nittany Lion Stadium. He's never played at the big house. Never. Versus a guy who's been there, done all that, Midwest kid, the wheels might not fall off. But I also think potentially that he doesn't have that third or maybe fifth, sixth, seventh gear that a Dillingham might get if he really gets to clicking and shit gets going.
Yeah.
Also, probably 20 years younger, which is a gift and curse, So I think kind of shift over to Dillingham. I don't know. I've watched enough podcasts where depending on who you watch, they got you saying he's the next coming. And then depending on who you watch, it's, this could get bad. Or he's just a splash in the pan. So I guess I'll throw it over to you before I'm going to throw it over to you as far as what you think about Dillingham. I have a couple of random stats I want to say first, though. 22-16 as a head coach. He was the OC and offensive coordinator at Auburn in 2019. That would be Bo Nix all SEC year as a freshman. He then also coached Bo Nix again when he went to Oregon. And got him in, like probably, I don't think maybe like a top 5 Heisman type finish year. He was very, very touted those couple of years there. And then Sam Levitt, the old backup at Michigan State, he had him lighted up there for a couple of years. So it's he seems to have a special touch offensively.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of everywhere he goes, it pops offensively. I guess he also was I don't want to say head coach, maybe OC or head coach at Memphis, and they were first in the college football and offense that year as well. So I think what you're getting with him on that front. What scares me about him, well, I guess I'll throw it over to you on that. What scares me about him is just experience. I mean, literally, we could have went to high school with this motherfucker. Like, he's 35. And then back to what I said, everything else. First time coming to the big house, the Horseshoe, Nittany Lion, Badger Stadium. I don't like that being your first time as our head coach.
No, I'm with you there, man. No, I echo a lot of that. I mean, I think my biggest thing sticks out to me, like you said, is just like the experience. I mean, you can kind of see the potential. He hasn't been to, like you said, he doesn't understand what that Big Ten environment looks like. He hasn't really experienced it. I think one thing, like, pretty impressive to kind of, well, like I kind of feel like I didn't mean to say impressive, but I kind of feel like for some reason that Texas Arizona State playoff game is kind of giving him more of an aura than I think he really has. Because people forgetting that game, they were down like 21. Like granted,
Yeah,
they came back with like double overtime and everything, but they were kind of like
dead in the water.
it's kind of the
Yeah,
equivalent of like what happened with James Franklin this year to where or last year to where like they just like the success kind of has like it's like extra calories. You know what I'm saying? Like like uh air calories, whatever you want to call it. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Like, there's not as much. I guess like there's not as much meat on the bone with Dillingham as like he's being perceived. I guess that's kind of like my initial thing.
yeah,
I can see the potential, like you said. Like he did have the guy Sam Levitt, like great quarterback. Played pretty well. He's recruited like I think it was wide receiver that probably go first round. Put a couple guys in the league. The couple years he's been there, but I think other than that, like I don't know. I think I'm a lot higher on like Drinkwitz, who's somebody probably really not going to even be in the top 3 or 4 than Dillingham. To be honest with you, I
yeah. I
don't know.
agree. Yeah, it's just I think with him it is like high risk, high reward. I think it's a real gamble because I think you're putting the program in the hands of another young guy, another unproven
Yeah,
guy, another guy that if the couple things didn't go right, he could damn near be a grad assistant somewhere. Like he. So I agree. You're putting a lot on the plate of a young guy. And
hmm
if you look at the other two coaches, there is some. I think there's something about experience, something about being around the block. Um, you know, and the other random thing. Not that I really think this matters, but as far as I can tell, I don't think this dude even played college football anywhere, which is also kind of odd to me. So it's like, what the fuck were you doing basically to get back into football? Like, were you just one of them guys? I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I
I
read
don't
on one
know.
side. I read on one side he's 5'5", but
That short?
he yeah, that's what it said on
Wow.
one side. Um,
Okay.
but no, in general, man, it's crazy that we're in this situation, and
Yeah, but yeah, no, I agree. It's it's really weird. And I don't know. I do want to talk about. I thought this guy's name was Elijah, but I guess it's Elijah
yeah,
Drinkwitz. At
no
least
J.
Yeah, at least on Wikipedia, there's no J. Or like Google, yeah, I'm looking at
I've
Google,
seen it
there's
with no J a
no J.
bunch of places. Yeah,
Yeah, but I think it usually goes by Eli. But I don't know. I just want to rattle off some of his stuff. I think this is kind of a dark horse guy. I think what I like about him from anything, he's kind of taken like a tier two, tier three type SEC team or like SEC team, and first couple years, well, even back farther than that, he was at Appalachian State, 12-1. Before going to Missouri, 5-5, COVID year. Year after that, 6-6, lost a bowl game. 6-7, 6-6 the year after that, lost a bowl game. But the last 2 years, 11-2, like we talked about yesterday, beat Ohio in the Cotton Bowl. Just this
mm-hmm.
previous year, 10-3, finished fourth in the SEC. I mean, they've been knocking on the door, last couple of years as far as just like either getting to a conference championship game or, going to the college football playoff. Now this year, 8-4. They're still obviously still going to a bowl game, but overall record 58-29. I think out of the three, to me, I think he's done like between Dillingham and Fish. I feel like he's done the most
Mm-hmm.
with
Yeah,
like less out of the three. And I don't.
I
It's
get
kind
it.
of interesting. I don't think he's being considered as much as like he could be, or because he might have made a joke about sign stealing when all that was happening. But I brush that off if he's able to come in and he's been able to recruit guys like Luther Burden, guy Darius
And you're
Robinson.
talking SEC football. I mean, there's
Right.
weight levels to that. Like, obviously, we're Big Ten biased through and through, but I mean, 1A,
Hmm.
1B, Big Ten, SEC. So when you're
Yeah.
talking lower level Pac Big 12 and
Yeah.
lower level. I can't think of his name, but I heard the Louisville coach. Shit like that starting to scare me a little bit when you're talking just the level of competition, the level that you have to game plan against and for through week in and week out.
Yeah.
Level of physicality. That's another thing comparing
Mhm.
Kenny Dillingham, like the level of physicality you're getting on the Big 12 week in and week out
Shootouts.
is versus just smash mouth. I mean, even if we hate Ohio. Even Ohio, who wants to throw it all around, can line up and punch you
Come
in the
punch
mouth.
you in the mouth. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I agree with
Yeah,
you, man.
man. I think
He's on the list. He's on the betting list for the poly market for it is what it is. But I think I haven't heard as much about him, but I agree with you as far as pedigree. He seems higher on the list to me.
yeah, that looks like a guy like he walks in with the top 15, top 10 recruiting class. He's already been putting hella guys in the league already, like
And
Rakestraw,
could
Bryant.
probably cherry pick a couple receivers off his squad, a little offensive guard or something.
Yeah, because it's gonna be a little attrition on our end, and yeah, like get a couple, SEC bodies, into the Big Ten. They shouldn't have much trouble adjusting. So yeah, that's just one I just wanted to kind of point out because I don't think I mean, obviously none of us know how much people are being considered, but I think it's just kind of weird that like Dillingham is just like the guy, kind of like second or third, and you got guy with a a lot more proven track record that's not being considered as much.
for sure. No,
So
it's
yeah,
interesting. Just the then you wonder. I mean, not to spend too much more time on this, but then you wonder, like, you never know what they got up their sleeve. Who really might be on the back pocket, back burner that's waiting
yeah,
to, I mean, you hear it all the time. I've heard historically, guys that they're just waiting to lose or whatever, or just that type of deal. So it might be DeBoer's already a done deal. It might be whoever's already a done deal. I just hope.
yeah.
I do hope that's the case, and they already got a plan versus scrambling. Because, like you said, if we're sitting here next week and we don't have,
Coach, it's gonna be trouble.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I
I
do
think
think
we'll be.
somebody gets hired by like Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I think they do got they probably got 12 million to DeBoer, 8 million to Dillingham, maybe like 9.5 to Fish. And I hope they got like 10 for Drinkwitz. I don't know. I'm just saying. Hey, we're gonna see though. Go Sooners. We know that's the option, but that's like probably like the most like least likely I'd say honestly, just given where he's at and all that, and where if they win too, it's probably a wrap if they win. So go Sooners. But yeah, we're gonna dive into these Lions. Um, they're yeah, we got a 10-minute mark here. We'll dive in and just talk through about really what happened against the Rams. You know, starting to just kind of fall apart on defense for some reason. Run game is just not looking great. We're still who we are, just kind of able to get up and down the field on people, but stuff is just not clean, and it essentially cost us in that third quarter. So yeah, I'll kick it over to you. You just want to kind of see what your snapshot of what kind of happened on Sunday.
Yeah, I would say it's just not having I don't want to say not having enough in the tank, but not a combo of not having enough in the tank, just not having enough resources. It seems like whenever, especially in the third quarter, when like first half, cool. We had the game, we had to bleed, we're going up and down. I guess right before half, we let them get a cheap, moved the ball down the field on us cheap. But up until that point, we had played very sound.
Yeah.
And then it feels kind of like that third quarter, we were overly stumbling and couldn't get our grip, and that was very demoralizing because with our two-headed running game and the offensive weapons we have, you would like to think, like you said, we can get up and down the field at will on somebody if we had to.
Yeah.
And to be able to muster up 5 yards for a quarter is just bad. So I think it's a little bit of just shell shock, I would say. A little bit of we're settling. I think you said that earlier, something to that effect, where we're settling and we're ditching the run quickly and just going to these passes, which I think is helping our offense look like it's being very productive. but ultimately it's kind of empty calorie yards or hindering the team as a whole. When the yards come and when the yards aren't coming on the ground, it's just hurting. I feel like the way our team is structured.
Yeah.
And thus keeping the defense on the field for more frequently, and it's kind of spinning out of control. Man, I don't want to steal some of the points you made either about the front seven on defense and just kind of missing an action. So I think we have a lot of things working against us here. But overall, I think just to kind of put a bow tie on this, I called them to lose. I think I said called them to lose, and I think that game largely went kind of how I thought. Just they played keep away and just be able to get the ball done, get the ball in the end zone when they had to.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'll keep it short and sweet here to give ourselves some time to chat about the Steelers game a little bit. But yeah, I think that's front seven been getting pushed around. They've been pretty inconsistent the last couple of weeks for whatever reason. I think the thing that makes it like tough for me is like we've shown that we can be like capable of like doing some of these things as far as stopping the run, as far as like even getting Montgomery going a little bit more and helping that run game be a little consistent. But for whatever reason, we're not able to sustain it. Like you said, it's something about like not having enough in the tank, whatever it looks like. I just think right now it's just kind of getting frustrating because I think we start getting beat up in the trenches like this, like it's just like, when when that dam breaks, I mean, it's kind of hard to like fix it. So I just hope that they can got 3 games left, find a way. Just got to find a way to make it happen. You got to start to at least make teams one-dimensional on defense to give that secondary or one-dimensional, yeah, on defense, like stopping that run, give that secondary, a little more time to be out there. I mean, they're not Vildor and like Sutton, but with us missing Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch, we got to do it they need to step up and like kind of they need to carry through the rest of this season in order to get us into the playoffs, in my opinion.
Right. I just think I agree with a lot of that. I think offensively, we're just the best way to put it is you send me the screenshot of the stats. It doesn't feel like that's true to me. Regardless of what the numbers say, it doesn't feel like we have number 1 points, number 3 yards, number whatever that all those stats were that were all through the roof. It just doesn't feel like that's true, and damn sure isn't true when we need it to be true. Like it is, we're not.
Yeah.
That's kind of I don't know, just somewhat frustrating.
So I think with that, I think for me, like that's definitely a little skewed because we used to just get into the red zone. I mean, we were outgaining teams by hella yards all season with like not scoring in the red zone until like literally like week 10. So I think like for me, like I'm looking at that, it's like in the midst of how bad it is, to me, it's like damn, like the defense couldn't get 1 or 2 more stops. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. Like to me, I think overall, I'm just kind of like more disappointed that defense is like giving up 5.5 yards a carry. These last couple of weeks here, to where it's just like a mentality thing. I mean, we had less guys last year was making it happen. We got more up there this year, and it's not happening for whatever reason. So I hope they can find a way.
No, I agree. And that but Talik Williams was a guy that earlier in the year, I seen some stats that when he's on the field, teams are averaging like 1 and almost 2 yards less per carry. I feel like that's not true no more.
It's like what happened?
Yeah. Just things are getting gashed. Teams are getting gashed. And I think, just to kind of steamroll us into the Steelers this week. We're talking about the run game here, and this is how bad the Steelers are running the game, running the ball offensively. And you mentioned that if we don't completely shut them down and make them one-dimensional and make old ass Aaron Rodgers stand up and beat us, then we don't deserve to win. It's one of those. We know what we have to do. We have to go 3-0, starting with them, and then 2 division foes right after them. So I think, Steelers coming to town. Old ass Aaron Rodgers. He's obviously familiar. Probably played in our stadium 15 times in his career. Kind of what I guess what do you expect from our boys? I think this is both a game that we expect them to go and win, but
and I think I think this is gonna come down to like, get right game. I know it's like we broke a record this year. I think we got 15 straight wins. coming off of a loss, got to respond again. I think for me, it's going to be critical. Their defense, not that great. I believe TJ Watt is out hurt right now. I mean, they're still physical, solid. They're Mike Tomlin's Pittsburgh Steelers that we know and love and respect. But I just think it's going to be critical to just execute on offense. And that defense has to stop the run. And like you said, just be able to pin the mirrors back and go get Aaron Rodgers. Got to have Hutch. He has to win one-on-one. AQM, he continue to do what he's doing. I think the linebackers have been playing pretty well. Got to help out that secondary a little bit just by, once again, getting a little pass rush, getting some pressure. I know their O-line is pretty vulnerable. We've seen some solid O-lines the last couple of weeks. I think might be kind of the reason why, it's looked a little shaky. But, I think this is one of the weeks where you gotta just go get after them and, get a turnover or two. And I think just kind of jump on them early and, kind of put them away because, yeah, you got two division rivals right around the corner as well. So
Right.
two of
I think that's the
these division rivals have already beat the Steelers. So you lose this one, might be cooked.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think I will go out and say if you lose this one, you are cooked because they both beat them, and then that team if you were to lose this, that just means the steam has just left the ship. You know what I mean? Like we just and so I think you in going all the way back to going all the way back since starting with the Bengals game. Whenever that was, like September, starting with the Bengals game, we are on we are basically a 500 team. We beat the Bengals, lost to the Chiefs. We're going win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss throughout that whole section. So that rhythm keeps. This is a win this week, a loss versus the Vikings, and a win versus the Bears. If we continue our rhythm, I think this week just to hone in, you know what you got to do. I think. We can both. I agree with you. The D line got to step up. Front seven has to step up. And obviously, starting with Hutch, he had a great play that versus the Rams. If he would quit looking back, his ass would have scored. He should have ran track 1 year in his life, and he would have learned you don't look back when. But I think we need those type of plays and then some, and then also get paid. You got paid to damn near have one job, and that's get the quarterback on his ass. I think you're sitting there at 9.5 sacks. I'll be willing to bet if he can get 5 sacks in the next 3 games, we win. We're in the, I think that should be the goal for him. Somewhere around that 5. Go ahead and get a sack and a half-ish a game over the next 3 weeks.
Prediction.
Yeah, score prediction. Oh, we're running low?
Yeah.
Ooh. I'm going to go
30-17 Lions.
24-17.